everyone. I'm Tharwat Mansour. I'm a board member with the Franco-British Network. The Franco-British Network is a nonprofit organization in France with the objective of helping the British people living here in France or planning to move here to France. I'm doing now a ChatFBN. I have with me Mr. Gerald Humphries, one of FBN service providers and experts in driving licenses and in importing cars from UK as well. So I'm glad to have Gerald with us also today. Thank you so much, Gerald.
Hello, everyone.
So today we'll be giving you some information and shedding the lights on the topic of importing cars from UK. So Gerald, again, if somebody is planning to come to France and he wants to bring over his British car, what are all the pros and cons that you tell them?
Right. So, at the moment, if it's a car that you've owned in the UK and you wish to import it in France, you can include it within your move to France, and that will be tax-free import. But you need to consider that if the car has been registered after the deadline of Brexit, it will be a little bit more complicated to register that car because it doesn't comply any longer with EU regulation.
Okay, so they have to keep an eye and they have to be aware of this criteria.
That's correct. The second thing, if you wish to buy a car in the UK, it's not very interesting to do that because basically you will be taxed at 30% of the purchase value of the car to import it in France.
Wow. Okay, I think that's a main thing.
Yes, because, well, basically you will need to have a custom clearance for the car and you will have to pay VAT. The only type of cars you can import a little bit cheaper would be classic cars because when I mean classic cars, not a Renault 5, because, well, if you import, a proper classic car like an E-Type Jaguar, for instance, that's considered as a work of art, and the taxation is 5.5%, and there is no custom fee on top of it. So that's a very important thing to understand.
Okay. So it's not that easy, maybe.
Well,
Okay.
you are dealing with customs. So at the end of the day, if you've got an invoice value which is too low for the type of car you're importing, they can reassess the value of the car based on the book value in France. And you need to understand that a right and drive car is not easy to sell. And also the value on the market will be a lot less. So you might end up being taxed on a car which is not worth the value you'll be taxed on.
Okay, so people who would like to bring their car over, they have to really think about it twice, maybe.
Yes. Well, obviously, everyone can see that cars in France are a lot more expensive. If you are on the market for more modern cars, there is a reason to this. You have an emission tax which is connected to the registration of cars. So any cars which is sold in France new, people who registered them did pay that tax. So if you bring a car, let's say, which is less than 4 years old, and it's not been taxed on this, you may also have to pay that tax for emission.
Okay.
And that can rise quite fast. There is some cars where the emission tax is 60,000 euros in France.
Okay, so listening to all this, can you please specify for us what is the process or what are the steps for someone who decides he wants to bring his car from UK to France?
Well, first, if it's part of a move to France, for primary residence, you need to get the car written in the inventory you will have to provide to the custom at the border. That's very important because that will be that make it tax-free to import. And then you will have to prove you move to France, meaning then you will have to probably provide a proof of sale of property in the UK, that type of things. Because, well, the customs want to be really sure then you are moving to France because it's a tax-free, there is no taxes charged. So they want to be sure of that, and your move to France is correct. So, like, for instance, some people want to import a car for their secondary residence. Well, basically, that's not a move to France, and that's taxable. As I said, you pay custom clearance 10% and 20% VAT on top.
Any other step? Any other?
Well, after that, that's the first step. Then after that, obviously, you will need to provide, depending of the age of the car, you will need to provide a CT test, which is the equivalent of an MOT. Then, which need to be less than 6 months to be able to register the car with the NTS website. You might have to provide a certificate of conformity, but that's not always compulsory. Depending on the age of the car, it's got to be a pre-Brexit car. And also, it depends if on your V5, you've got the K-line number filled in, because the K-line number is an EU homologation.
Sorry, is this the complete process, Gerald?
Yeah, well, first you've got to import the car. That's the first step. Then after that, providing then you've got all the documents, then you've got a document called an 846A. You can move on to the NTS website and try to register your car. But you will, in that website, you will have to provide, probably sometimes a certificate of conformity. You will have to provide copies of the documents of the car. You might have to provide proof of insurance in France. Also, a valid driving license. A driving license which allow you to drive that type of car. That's pretty much what the type of things you will have to provide the authorities with.
Seems it's gonna take some time. It's a long process with few steps.
That's right. Well, it can take, but from end to finish, most generally, if you get the right documents and everything goes smoothly, it takes at least 6 months. Well, to register it in France. And keep in mind that during those 6 months, if you move to France, the car might be in between the two systems. And so if you go back with that car back to the UK, you might have some good chances to get a fine because you're not insured in the UK any longer.
Thank you so much, Gerald. Thank you for all the information and valuable input again and again.
Pleasure. Thank you.
It was great to have you with us. And for our followers, we hope you're enjoying those ChatFBN sessions. Stay tuned for more ChatFBN sessions throughout 2025. And for any help that we can provide you related to residency, visa, tax, importing cars to France, driving licenses, healthcare, and many other topics that maybe I haven't mentioned, please feel free to send us email to our helpline. It's free of charge. We'd answer you. And if you require more assistance, then we put you in connection with our service providers and experts who would surely help you more and more. Thank you again, and see you in another ChatFBN.
Bye-bye.